So my big problem now is I have a lot of cash to put to work, and I know this is a problem for every investor.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be finding out just how rich is the shark Kevin O'Leary. Some say he's a billionaire, others say he has the least wealth of all the sharks. Want to find out? Want to know what he spends his money on? Keep watching. Kevin O'Leary was born in Montreal in the province of Quebec, Canada. He was one of two sons of George Bouclam, a small business owner and investor, and Terry O'Leary, a salesman. His mother's family from Lebanon had very little upon arrival in Canada, but built up a clothing business. His father was Irish and had been the top salesman at the clothing business. His brother is Shane O'Leary, and because of his father's origins, Kevin O'Leary has Irish citizenship. O'Leary's parents divorced when he was young and his father died soon after. O'Leary's mother eventually married an economist, George Kanawati, who worked with the United Nations International Labour Organization. Because of his stepfather's work, O'Leary lived and grew up in a number of foreign locales, including Cambodia, Tunisia and Cyprus. The experience and his lifelong love for photography and film was instrumental in starting his first venture, Special Event Television, which he set up with two fellow students who had helped him with his MBA documentary. After producing several films, including a series with Don Cherry called Don Cherry's Grapevine, the company was sold by the partners and Kevin took his share to make a down payment on a house in Toronto, and to purchase an early home computer. The company made software available on CD-ROM for Windows and Macintosh computers during the late 1980s and 90s, but at one point when O'Leary and his partners planned to expand, an investor who had pledged $250,000 to the business suddenly decided not to go through with it, which forced O'Leary to ask his mother, who was still alive, for a $10,000 loan. That loan enabled O'Leary and his partners to build their software company, Softkey Software Productions, Inc., into close to $1 billion in sales. Softkey then grew by purchasing rivals and eventually moved its headquarters to Boston, where it took the name of one of its acquisitions, the Learning Company. Eventually, Mattel Incorporated purchased the company for $4.2 billion in 1999, but after several lawsuits, ended up with a lot less. In 2003, he invested in the storage facility industry. He purchased a director's stake in the company's Storage Now Holdings for $500,000, 4 years later selling his shares for over $4.5 million. So his current wealth is sat around $400 million. So what does he spend it on? Well, the easy answer is food. He loves his food. According to a CNBC TV interview, O'Leary admitted to spending about $1,000 a day on meals, because he frequently has to attend business meals 3 times a day, 5 days a week. He also frequently picks up the check. He likes to collect, as an investment, watches. He buys them reportedly to mark milestones, and as an investment. But he notes that if you don't wear a watch you own for 90 days, you should probably not own it. With that as a prerequisite, he has amassed a collection of about 40 watches. He owned a vintage Cartier Pantier that was stolen from him a few years ago. He was wearing it when he signed the deal to sell the Learning Company to Mattel. Added to his collection this year was a $30,000 Patek Philippe 5711/1A. O'Leary told CNBC it was not only the crown jewel of his collection, which he has sought for years, but a great investment, because even now collectors are willing to pay up to $80,000 for it in the secondary market, meaning in purchasing it, he'd made just about $50,000. In addition to collecting watches, O'Leary collects guitars, having an extensive collection of Les Paul guitars, including one signed by the legendary musician and guitar designer himself. Kevin O'Leary's main house is in Toronto, but he also owns a luxury condo in Marlborough Street in the back area of Boston, near the Charles River, as well as a cottage on Lake Joseph in Ontario, Canada, and a vacation home in Geneva. While he owns 4 properties, O'Leary has bought and sold a total of 9 of them. So now we know that Kevin O'Leary, even though he isn't the wealthiest of sharks, lives a good life and has had to work hard for all of his money.